Hi everyone, I'm Amanda from Easy English Online. Today I'm going to continue talking about multiple ways to introduce yourself to someone, with typical topics of conversation. Now this is the final part of a 3-part series, so if you haven't watched the first 2 videos on this subject, don't forget to go back and watch those ones as well. I will leave a link to the videos in the description box below. As always, to accompany the video, I've prepared some notes for you to download. I will explain how you can download them at the end of the video. So for now, just sit back and enjoy the lesson. Okay, so our next expression that we're going to look at is how to ask what somebody does for a living. What do you do? So you meet someone new and you're interested to know what is their job. It shows you're interested in getting to know them. So a polite way to ask would be, what is your job? What is your job? Or what job do you do? What job do you do for a living? What kind of work do you do? What line of work are you in? These are all fine, of course, but they don't sound terribly natural to a native speaker. The most natural thing that we say is, what do you do? Short for, what do you do for a living? What is your job? Note the difference between saying, what are you doing? I'm cooking our evening meal. And what do you do? I am a chef. The first one is asking, what are you doing? This means, what are you doing right now? At this moment. You answer it by using ing, the ing verb. I am singing. I am dancing. I am watching TV. The second one is asking, what do you do? Which is shortened and the most common way of asking, what do you do for a living? In casual conversation. It sounds much more natural. If native speakers are saying it, it can come out quite fast. It may sound a bit more like, what do you do? So how do we answer this question? What do you do? You can simply say, I am, and then your job title. So I am an English teacher. I am an engineer. I am a doctor. What if someone asks, where do you work? Now there are several different ways to answer this. So let's take a look. We could say, I work in, I work for, I work at, I work with. Note that by using different prepositions here, the answers mean slightly different things. So you work in a place. I work in an office. I work in a hospital. You work in a city or a country. So you say, I work in Paris. I work in Naples, in the south of Italy. You can also work in a department. So I work in sales. I work in marketing. I work in accounts. You work for or at the name of a company. So you would say, I work for Coca-Cola. I work for Google. You can also use for to talk about working for somebody famous. So you would say something like, I work for Bill Gates. I'm his personal assistant. Finally, you work with people or with things that are objects of everyday work. So you'd say, I am a doctor. I work with cancer patients. I'm a mechanic. I work with cars. So just a quick review here. So you say, I work for a company or a person. I work at a company. I work in a place or a city or a department or a general area. Or I work with people, with things. Okay, now we're going to talk about staying in contact with somebody. Now let's imagine we have just met someone and have hit it off with them immediately. So to hit it off with them means to get on well with them. So we would like to keep in touch with this person. We may wish to ask for their phone number or their contact details. So what could we say? We could say, it was lovely meeting you. Would you like to stay in touch? We could say, what is your phone number? What is your phone number? Would you mind giving me your number, please? Would you mind giving me your number, please? Sounds a little formal. Can I get your number? Can I get your number? Then the person answering this question could say, yes, of course. And they give you their number. Or, my number is. And then they give you their number. You could say, call me sometime. Now, some people may feel this is a little direct. So there are other ways that we can ask to keep in touch. I mean, nowadays, most people are on social media. So an alternative to asking, what is your phone number, could be something like, are you on Facebook? Are you on Snapchat? Do you use Skype? They may say yes or no. If they're on social media, you could then say, great, should I add you? What's your username? Should I add you? What's your username? Or, how do I connect with you on Facebook? How do I connect with you on Snapchat? The other person could answer with, yes, my username is, and then they give their username. My username is, followed by their username. If it is a more formal setting, maybe you're talking to a customer or maybe a future employer, etc., you could ask for the person's email. You could ask, please, could I have your email address? Please, could I have your email address? Or, what is your email address, please? What is your email address, please? The answer here could be, yes, my email address is, and they tell you their email address. My email address is, and they tell you their email address. There are occasions when you may need to ask someone for their address, or you have to give your own home address to somebody. Maybe you wish to invite someone to your house. Maybe you are ordering a delivery or takeout. If you wish to ask for an address, you could simply ask, please could you give me your address? Please could you give me your address? Or, what is your address, please? What is your address, please? They could answer with, my address is 2 Queen's Avenue, York. My address is 2 Queen's Avenue, York. You could also add, my postcode is, followed by your postcode. My postcode is, followed by your postcode. So the next thing we may like to ask somebody new is, where did you go to university? Did you go straight into a job? So how do we ask someone if they have been to college or university? This is a potential minefield, and one has to be especially careful not to offend the person that you're asking. We could be asking this in an informal and friendly way, just because we're interested and we want to know a bit more about a person. Or we could be asking in a more formal and direct way, perhaps in an interview or a more formal setting. So let's look at the informal way first. We need to be careful not to be too direct here and not to sound like we're demanding personal information that may or may not embarrass the person. Perhaps things didn't go well for them at school, or perhaps they decided further education was not for them. If you know the person has gone to college or university, or it is highly likely that they have, if you feel it's appropriate to ask, you could simply say, "Did you go to college? Did you go to college? Where did you go to university? Where did you go to university?" And then the other person could say, "Yes, I went to Harvard. Yes, I went to the University of Exeter for 3 years. Or yes, I studied at Bath. Or yes, I studied at the University of Lincoln for 3 years." If you would like to know more, you could say, "Wow, that sounds interesting. What did you study there? What did you study there? What did you major in? What did you major in?" The other person could then say, "I studied maths. I studied theology. I majored in psychology. I majored in astrophysics." Now, perhaps you have no idea if the person is likely to have studied further. It's important not to offend or make them feel like you're judging them. So in this situation, you could say, "Did you go to college or university, or did you prefer to go straight into a job?" And they could say, "Yes, I studied at the University of Bath." Or, "Yes, I got a job. Yes, I got a job. I worked in a barber's. I worked in a florist." They could say, "I worked for a car manufacturer." They could say, "I went to work as an apprentice. I went to work as an apprentice." Other more friendly and less direct ways you could ask more about a person's education is to say, "You seem to know so much about this topic. What did you study in college? Your English is really polished. Where did you learn it? You speak very confidently. Have you studied this topic?" Now, you could be asking these questions in a more formal setting. Perhaps you're interviewing someone for a job and they require a degree for the position. Here it is, of course, more acceptable to be more formal, more direct and straight to the point. So you could ask questions like, "What is your educational level? Have you been to college? Have you been to university? What is your degree in? What did you major in? Why did you choose your particular degree or major? What influenced your choice of university? How will your degree help you in this job?" Okay, so you have met a new friend in a coffee shop or a local cafe, and you wish to offer them a drink or a snack. Or perhaps you're meeting in a more formal setting. So how do we do this? There are several simple ways that we can offer someone something to eat or to drink. The first one is, "Would you like a coffee? Would you like a tea?" This expression is the most common way of offering something to someone. Would you like a drink? Yes, I would love an orange juice, please. Would you like a piece of cake? Yes, please. I would like the coffee and the walnut cake, please. May I offer you? This is quite polite and a formal way to offer someone a drink, perhaps at a social gathering or a restaurant. You could say, may I offer you a glass of wine with your meal? May I offer you some tea? You could say, do you want a cup of tea? You could also use this expression, which is more informal, to offer something to someone. Like, do you want another coffee? Yes, please. I would love another caramel latte, please. My personal favourite. Would you care for a cup of tea? This is a very formal way of asking someone if they would like something. You might often hear this expression in hotels and restaurants. Would you care for a glass of champagne, sir? Do you fancy? This is very British. This expression is often used in the UK. It's informal and is used to ask if they would like something. So you'd say something like, do you fancy a cup of tea? Do you fancy a coffee? Or simply, fancy a tea? Fancy a coffee? I'd love a cup of tea with milk. No sugar, please. How about, this is another informal way of asking if they would like something. How about a milkshake? A milkshake would be great, thanks. What flavours do they do? You could say, who wants something, or who would like, who fancies. These are often used when offering something to a group of people. So you would say, who would like something to drink? Who wants to share a bottle of wine? Can I get you some drinks? This expression is used especially when offering someone food or drink. Can I get you a drink to go with that cake? What will you have? And what can I get you? These two expressions are used when asking someone what they would like, especially in a restaurant or a bar or a coffee shop. You could say, the drinks are on me. What will you have? Good afternoon, sir. What can I get you? Well, that's it. So now you've learnt some English phrases on how to introduce yourself. I recommend you watch the video a few times so that you can fully understand the differences. Don't forget, this has been a 3-part series, so if you haven't already watched the other videos, I will leave a link in the description box below. As always, I've prepared a downloadable PDF with some notes for you, so if that interests you, please just click on the link below and you'll be able to download it right away. Now, if you're struggling on a specific area of English and you would like me to do a video on it, please let me know in the comments below. Anyway, I hope you liked the video, and don't forget to press the all-important like and subscribe buttons below. See you next time. Bye!